Hello everyone, Ceri the Crafter here, that's C-E-R-I the Crafter, and it's colour combo time. It's the 1st of July 2025 and a brief whatever colour combo is. Colour combo has been going for several years now. There are more details and it shows all the previous ones on my website. I'll put a link to that in the description box. And there's links to each of the projects. So if you click those, it takes you through to YouTube. You can actually watch a project. So I started this 4 years ago. Was it 4 years? Almost 4 years ago, I think. And what it was generated by requests from my subscribers, friends and followers for me to experiment with different colour combinations. It was very popular. I enjoyed it. So what I did is periodically I would put out a request going, are there any new colour combinations you want to see? And currently I've got at least the next 2 years booked out, so that's fine. So what we do is there are 3 colours. Now in the past we only had 2 colours, but we've gone to 3 over the last couple of years. We have 3 colours, which are the requested ones, which have to be used. And then on top of that, we have black, white and a metallic, which are optional. The colour combo can also be done in any medium: glass, ceramic, fabric, paint, watercolour pens, crayons, pencils. You know it, you can use it. So the colour combination for this month is turquoise, and I'm using Lucas Acryl turquoise. It says turquoise. Teal, this is a mixed bottle I've got, and this is teal as far as I'm concerned. The next colour is tangerine. Well, this is sort of the only one I've got close to tangerine. I might add a little bit of white to that, depends on the opacity, and I'll bring up that subject in a moment. The white I'm going to use is just regular acrylic white. Black is Mars Black. As you can see, I'm getting to the end of this tube, but that's fine. And the colour I'm going to use is gold. And I've also pulled out things like markers, and I've got other markers and Poscas over there because I'm not 100% certain where I'm going this. All I do know that I want to do is I want to play around with transparency. As some of you know, I struggle with getting things to be delicate. So that's my aim today. I just want to create a piece. Now, I've got on here a bit of mixed media paper. And this is the pad it's from. These are all the details you need to know. I bought it in my local store, which is W.H. Smith's. It's an inexpensive brand, but you know, it'll be fine for an experiment like this. However, if I really like the results, you never know, I might frame it. Now, I have taped this down with a 0.5 centimetre border. I've used low tack tape. I've also given this one coat of Liquitex Basic Matte Gel Medium, just a really thin coat. Try to prevent it buckling any more than it will as it goes along. But once the project's finished, I'll put it under a couple of heavy books. It'll be flattened out anyway. So I want to play around with, as you just heard me say, Liquitex Basics Matte Gel Medium. Now, it doesn't normally come in a tub. It comes in a squeezy bottle like this. But the trouble is you can't take the lid off it, so you can never put the spare back in. So I always decant it into a tub. It's easier for me to use. So my plan is I want to create something that's very delicate and reminiscent of water or ocean or river, or I want to play around with that transparency. The first thing I want to do is start introducing little bits of glaze. So I'm going to work really small, as in small amounts of matte gel medium, because a little bit goes a really long way when I'm doing glazes. Now, there's a good chance I'm going to have to stop periodically to dry, because if I don't dry stuff, we're going to end up with mud, and a little more mud. So I'm just going to bring in, I haven't even taken the top off this. I'm going to bring in just a little tiny bit of the turquoise. Let's put the lid back on that. I need to cut the lid off this. I found with these, because you know I'm new to these, I found if I cut this off completely, I have less problem with this thing happening, because if you leave it on there and you're trying to put paint down, it catches on stuff and it really, really annoys me. So I'm going to come in and mix in that tiny little bit of paint to make a glaze. Now, as I said, I'm looking for delicate. And I do have a spare damp cloth here with me just to keep things clean so I don't recontaminate this pot. Because if I start putting stuff back in here, I end up with a whole lot of pain. Right, that I needed that paler again. Just set the lid on that. I'm also mixing it with a palette knife because I find if I mix it with a paintbrush, that forces all of the paint and the matte medium and everything up into the bristles and up into here, and then I'm forever getting streaks. I'm using, it's got to be about a ½ inch wide, yeah, ½ inch wide, just a normal brush. So let's just put that to one side. So my aim is to come in and just work glazes. Now, if I feel things are getting too stiff in the paint region, I will come in and add a little touch of water to this. In fact, I'm going to put my brush in a jar of water and just have a little more water with this, just to liquidize this a little bit more. I'm hoping this is all going to pick up on camera because, as you know, I'm trying to do delicate. I'm also doing horizontal lines because that's the way I want the illusion to be. I don't really want verticals. A little more water on my brush, and I'm not going to come in with any more matte gel medium or the mix. I've got little bits, there must be little bits in my paint. So just coming in. Oh, and the sun's come out, how lovely. I may have to alter the covering for the window if that keeps up. Now I could come in, I suppose, and give this a bit of a spritz with water. That might be an idea. This is it. This is just purely an experiment for me. So I'm just using a travel bottle. Let's see if I can get this to move. I can, there you go. So there are matte gel mediums and gloss gel mediums that are more fluid than the one I'm using. So you could potentially be using that. But this is working for me. I'm okay. Also for me, gel mediums dry quite quickly, so I'm not overly worried about things like that. Now, I'm not sure I'm going to be hugely literal with the ocean theme. I am going to keep it almost abstract. I'm trying to get almost a watercolor effect without using watercolors. And someone's going to say, well, Ceri, why aren't you using watercolors? Because I want to do it with acrylics, that's why. So, right, and in between each application of colour, I'm going to rinse my brush off, and I'm just going to rinse off in clean water just to make sure I don't contaminate the next colour. So can you see this? Is it showing you anything? I think you just see a hint of it. It's in there. I'm okay with that. Now, do I want to dry that? Actually, I don't think I do. What do I want to do next? So that was the pale one. If I come in with the darker one now, the teal, oh, just a tiniest little bit, because I do know that this teal is quite an intense colour. So let's just lift that off there. And I've come in with a wet brush, so hopefully that means that I'm not forcing the paint up into the rest of this. I don't know, I might do some pen work over the top of this. I don't know, I'm playing, as I said. I like to experiment, and the colour combo is a perfect time to just have fun and experiment. I'll make sure I've got the edges. I wouldn't recommend doing this on anything other than a reasonably substantial substrate or paper. I mean, if you were doing this on copier paper, this would be a wreck by now. I don't think you could do it on rice paper either. What the heck is that? and remember to respect the paper so that you don't start balling up any of the surface layers. Right, put the paintbrush in there. Right, that's beginning to build up. I'm okay with that. Right, I'm going to come in now and I'm going to hit this with a hairdryer. So I'm going to pause you because you do not need to see me using a hairdryer. And I'm just using a travel hairdryer. So bear with me, I'm back in 2 seconds. And I'm back. And to me, it's important to dry this in between because I want to make sure that as paper is made up of layers and laminations, what will happen is if I keep wetting, these will start pulling up. So I just wanted to make sure that it was down there. I'm going to put that to one side because I'm not worried about that at the moment. I'm going to bring in a really small gel plate, which is my 3x5. Where's my brayer? And if I don't remember that I said it, by the way, there's another element here that needs to be mark making, as in mark making, and the shape this month is actually a diamond. So I do have one of my foam stamps, and I've got a piece of one of the Border Builder foam stamps. I've also got my Hopeless Harlequin stencil nearby as well. So just know there are things I might introduce. But first of all, I want to put a little bit, just a little teeny itsy bitsy piece of the orange tangerine in here, and as I said, I want to bring in a little bit of white with it because you've got white and you've got black. I can use that to give me tints or shades. Now I'm going to use it's one of the techniques I like. I print with paper. So this is just baking parchment. I get it from my local baking store. It's for lining cake tins. Or cake pans, depends on what you call them in the country you're in. So just brayer that around a bit. Now this is not going to be transparent, but what it is going to be, hopefully, is subtle. Because you can see I'm just picking up little tiny bits, gently lay it down, and I just want to put pieces into this. I'm hoping I don't do what I normally do and go dark. That's certainly not what I'm aiming for. A little bit down there. And a little bit over there. I'm not happy that I've got that line there, so let's see if I can get that gone. Right, now when it comes to these pieces of paper, people have asked me very often, Ceri, what do you do with them afterwards? Do you throw them out? No, I don't. These are little pieces of paper that I create with this baking parchment, very often get put into my scraps drawer, and I use them in my art journals, I use them in my collage, because these are good thin pieces of paper, and they do collage down really, really well. Right, there you go, I can sit in one place. Right, so I'm going to come back in once again with this combination. It's my bit of a cloth. And I'm going to mix these together. Now these are going to be slightly more intense. So what I'm doing is I'm working from lighter to darker. And if I get too dark, I will then come in and put white over the top. I'm trying to keep it pale. As you know, that's one thing I struggle with. So I'm just going to bring in this, not all over the place this time. Try to somehow incorporate it with this tangerine colour. Now, because it's actually being put on with medium, as it dries quickly, I can build up layers on top of layers. So if I want something more intense, I wait for that layer to dry and then I put more on top of it. Well, that's the way I'm treating it. Anyway, let's put it that way. Okay, a bit of a rinse. So now that's nice and dry, I think I'm going to come in again with another piece of that parchment paper. And this time I think I'm going to come in and put in some white. So I know I'm juggling stuff around here, but it's a space issue. So I need a ever so slightly little piece on there. Don't need a huge amount. That's the joy of this process. It doesn't take a lot of paint. So I'm going to come in, a little bit of a rub. A bit of there. So what this will do is it will just blend the tangerine colour and give it that subtle, almost like foam, sea foam maybe. That's how I'm thinking of this anyway. It's drying really quick. It's been so hot here, guys. I mean, I know a lot of you have got a lot higher temperatures than I've got, but Britain doesn't believe in air conditioning, and I don't know that I could afford to run an air conditioning unit anyway, because the energy bills are extremely high in the UK. Now, the diamonds I'm thinking of using are these ones. This is Hopeless Harlequin. It comes in 3 sizes, I believe, and I've got a small version of it, so I'm going to use that. And also, as I said, I've got these. So it's about playing with scale. Now, let's see, do I want to go subtle in the background? I might go subtle in the background. I want to make sure I've got the tangerine here, because the tangerine isn't looking very tangerine to me. So let's come in with it at its full force. Tiny, tiny little bit. I want almost a ghost of an impression of this. These foam stamps, by the way, are made by Pierre Marty Studio, and this one is designed by myself. And I think I'll do a little bit. Yeah, I kind of have to do it up there, don't I? Right, that's okay. Right, so I've got this on the go. Let's just do a quick bit of stamping off. Now, if you are using foam stamps for acrylic paint, make sure you put them in water or give them a wipe with a damp cloth just to get any build-up of paint off, because if you leave the paint on there, it will seal the stamp. So if you did choose to use it with ink, you may end up having a problem with ink. It will be absorbed. So that's nice and dry, and again, loving the subtlety of this. I'm hoping it's picking up on the camera. Looking through the iPad, I can see it, but hopefully, fingers crossed, in this lighting, it's picking up. Now, I still have these I want to put in, I know that. There is one thing other I want to do is I made this cardboard mark making tool a while ago. I'll see if I can put the link in the video for this one. I made a lot of free mark making tools, and I'm going to put fish on here. And I said I didn't want to be literal, and I don't want to be literal. However, I do want a suggestion of, if that makes sense. Now I'm going to do these in teal. My gut is probably saying, Ceri, why aren't you doing them in black? But I don't know that I want to do them in black, and I want to grab a bit of paper while I'm here too. Just a bit of scrap, just in case I want to block off certain pieces or not do all of them. Not sure that I do, but we'll see. So just rolling out. Now I could be doing this with ink. I stamp a lot with acrylic paint. Now, I am not looking for perfect, because that's not what I'm going to get. So I'm going to bring in fish up here. Hold it in place and gently push down, because no matter what you're doing, I can almost guarantee things are not going to be in line. Now, because of the shape of these, I can stamp them in either direction. And I think I just actually don't want to. Just pop those by there. So we've got a suggestion of fish. I'd like that to have been less of a suggestion, however, but that's fine. We're not going to worry about that. Now, and I'm back, and I think I've decided I want one more layer of white before I put the gold on. And pretty much the reason is that I'd like this a bit knocked into the background because I want to put the gold there. This here is beginning to look a bit muddy, so I'd like to push that back a little bit as well. And I might try and knock that back where the fish didn't stamp. So, no offense to the fish, it just didn't stamp. It probably doesn't help that I'm stamping on a tile. I normally stamp on foam, even when I'm using, or a softer surface, like a couple of book pages, or maybe a couple of layers of kitchen towel, just so there's a bit of bounce underneath. Right, where am I gone? Right. Pick up some paint. That looks like quite a bit of paint, actually. It's hopefully not too much. Okay, that's good. It's knocked it back a bit. You'll note I'm keeping it in this orientation, not turning it, and that's because these ridges will translate across, so that if I put it on horizontally, I then end up making a grid, and that's not my intent in the slightest. See if we can just eliminate that fishy there. There you go, all gone. I quite like that up there, just a little more subtle as well. That's dried lighter for me. Let's go back a bit into that one again. There you go, that's buttle. Better, not buttle, better. I want to do something about that there. I'm not sure I can do something about that there. Oh, I did. Okay, right. So, now the question is how I'm going to put gold onto here. Now, I kind of would normally sponge through the stencil to put the gold on, but I don't know whether that's going to give me too harsh of an effect. I'm wondering whether I should do this effect through a stencil, which I can't say I've ever done that before now. So it could be something I need to play with. Now, because I'm putting a stencil directly onto here, I need to make sure nothing is wet. So guess what, guys? Yeah, it's drying time again. So all nice and dry. As you can see, I'm still maintaining subtle. Yay, go subtle, go. So I'm now going to use another piece of paper, and this time, as I said, I'm going to try and put the paint on going through my stencil. Not entirely sure how this is going to work, so I'm just going to hold it in place with a couple of pieces of masking tape, because I'm going to need to use both hands to hold the parchment paper. It should work. As I said, there's no problem. We're just experimenting. We're having fun. And through experimentation, we find new ways of doing things. Now, I'm hoping for an imperfect impression of that design. So I'm going to come in. I'm not pressing hard, but I can feel my fingertips going into the design. I'm not sure that worked. I don't think that worked. Right. Maybe I've got to press a little bit harder. Right, let's really give this a bit of a burnish down with my fingertips, because I think it didn't reach the paper underneath. Yes, that did. Right, let's lift that off there. Oops, turn this around so I don't stick it to the painting. Or the picture, should I say. Right, so the secret is to press firmer. Okay, I think I can get away with that. I think I'd quite like to come in. I'm coming in at an angle, and I'm doing that on purpose, because obviously the stencil is all lined up, but the paint will just go through different areas. Right, now the question is, do I want it anywhere else? Not keen on that straight line there, but I don't know whether I can. This is going to be a bit risky, guys. Let's see if I can just get a hint of this over the edge of there. Whoa, yes. And I feel I'd quite like just a little trace of it down this edge. But at least I know that bit works. Now it's not stuck to anything, so let's just hope I get this right first time. Right. Okay, that's interesting. I'm going to have to be really careful because I'm getting to the point now where this is looking really, really busy. And I don't want it to. Right. It's also difficult to see when you've got the tape around it. That might seem like a little bit of a lame excuse, but I think... Do I want anything else on? So let's see. Turquoise, I can definitely see turquoise. Teal, I can definitely see teal. The orange, however, or the tangerine, is a little lost. I need to put patches of orange in somewhere. I mean, I did like this effect I got there. I seem to have made this whole thing about parchment painting, haven't I? But you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to go back in with this and I'm going to reintroduce this colour. And I'm going to use this, actually. Let's use this one, which is already used. I think the problem is this is quite a thin paint to start with, so I mean I can see that I picked it up. Right, and this doesn't need to go in a certain direction here. Right, that's given me much more dramatic. Am I in danger of losing subtle? It's this bit over here that's really bothering me to a certain degree. Right, there's no lines on that, so I can... Sorry, gone quiet, started thinking, oh, it was a bad thing. Actually, it's not a bad thing. Have I overdone that? My gut is I've overdone that. And here comes the sun again. Right, I think that's a good cue to stop and dry. And I'm back again. Everything's been dried, and I am going to put some white over the top of that. So just doing what I've done before, and then the next thing after this will be taking the tape off the sides. Because after I take the tape off the sides, I then will understand... So I need to do this without speaking. I need to understand where the pen marks will be. And to do that, I want to see a clear picture is what I'm trying to get at. So I think I've achieved subtle on this. Right. So the question is, can I see all the criteria? Yes, I've got teal and turquoise, and I've got the tangerine, I've got white, I've got gold. Not that I need white or gold, they were optional. I've got diamonds, and the black is the only thing I haven't added, but I was going to add that by pen anyway. Right. Now I'm not going to stop the camera again to dry this. I'm going to lift this now. I'm going to try and get the tape off, and fingers crossed I don't tear the paper. Normally I use the hairdryer on the tape and it lifts off easily. If it tears, I'll just trim it down and put it onto another background. I'm just going to peel away. As I said, I've been hitting this with the heat gun and it's a warm day, so I think we should be okay. And this I'm hoping will change the way this piece looks for me, just so I can actually see. Okay, that's definitely making that look nicer for me. I don't know whether I said, but this is low tack masking tape. I believe artist tape is also low tack, but I use masking tape, so I don't truly know about. I've got artist tape, but I've never taken out the packet, to be honest, because I've got this. Right, happy with that. Let's take this out of the way so we can actually see what we've got. Okay, I'm happy with that. Right, I think I just need to clean the decks of all the paint, and then I'll come in with some markers and see what I want to do with a few Poscas. I'm not overly bothered on doing too much. I'm worried about overdoing it, guys. That's what I'm worried about. So bear with me back into it. So here we are. It's all dry. It needs flattening, but I knew it would be. So I'm happy I've got subtle. Now I need to come in and add a little bit of drama because it's me. So I'm going to take a small Posca pen. What's this? 0.7 PC-1MR in black. Because I just want to add some things. Right. I want to put eyes in the fish. So I'm just going to put a little dot into the eye place on the fish. That is just enough of the eyes. Now what else? I want to put some, I'm going to put some mark making in. I'm thinking about doing some form of circles. Can you see? You can see. Now I know that the mark making element was diamonds or is diamonds. However, that doesn't mean you can't have another version of mark making in the same thing. I just wanted something. I don't even know what I'm thinking of. I want something. I was very tempted to come in with bubble wrap, but that just didn't feel right for some reason. And I think as I've got that, shall I do some? Ooh, how big are the dots am I doing with this? Right, I'm going to come in from above. And put dots around the circles. Do you see? You can see. I also need to sign it, so let's just sign it in the corner. Okay, now where these diamonds are, I wanted to outline a couple of these diamonds, so this might be tricky. I know they're not all going to be uniform, and that was part of the reason why I painted them in the way I painted them. feel like I have to do another bit over here, just because. I did expect to do more with transparents, but I didn't realise how quickly this page would fill up with paint. I was expecting to do more of the matte medium transparency, but I didn't. Surprise, surprise. Okay, interesting. I'm a little unsure whether I think it's finished or not. That's why I'm I do need to put a border around the outside. That might help. Right, I'm going to freehand the border because that's what I do. And I do like a double border. That sort of covers up my messy line. Right. The question is it finished? I feel this area needs something, but I can't tell you what it is. I mean, if I put more circles and dots up there, it looks wrong. I know it'll look wrong. Maybe it is finished. Let me just have a little thought. I've just had a moment. I remembered this colour. Now, they call this emerald green. To me, it looks teal. This is a PC-5M. And I think I'd just like to put some of these. Oh, holy heck. Glad I didn't do that directly onto my page. Look at that for a mess. Right, let's see if I just tidy that up a bit before. Okay, note to self, be careful of this pen. So I'm just going to come in and trying to incorporate this into the diamonds. I hold the pen up vertically because that enables me to get round dots. You hold it on an angle, you'll get ovals. Okay, that could be some sort of plankton or something. Not that I need a reason to put stuff in, but right, and I think I'm going to have to do possibly 5 instead of 3 patches, because otherwise I'm going to have it in all of the corners. And I'd quite like it to be here and there, but it doesn't need to be much, it just needs to be a little bit. Okay, my gut is telling me to stop. I feel this needs to come down just a little bit further. So I can do a couple of those without touching anything else. If I wanted perfect diamonds, I could have put either the stamp on that was a diamond that I had, or I could have come in and put the stencil down and drawn through the stencil. I think we need to call that, oh, I wonder. Sorry, I keep having saying I wonder, don't I? Let's see how the white does. All my Poscas seem to be not leaking, but they seem to be very fluid. And we'll put a dot in the middle of each of these circles. This is the same size as the emerald green pen was, by the way, because I know I've forgotten to tell you the dimension. That's better. I think I want a few more of these up here. I know there isn't circles around them, but that's okay with me. This area here just seems, it feels like it needs something. I could even consider putting another fish in there if it was up to me. Well, it is up to me, but let's get rid of that one. It's just blotted. I'm going to call that done. I think I could fiddle and fiddle and fiddle. Question is, have I met the criteria? Is there turquoise on there? There is turquoise on there. Is there teal on there? There's definitely teal on there. Is there the tangerine? There's definitely tangerine there. I can see it. Is there black on there? Yes. Is there white on there? Yes. Is there metallic? Yes, there is. Is there a diamond? There's definitely a diamond, and there's diamonds in the background. I think I'm going to call that done. I do hope it's picking up on the camera. It's really subtle, which is what I was going for. So thanks, guys. That was Colour Combo for this month. So I'm Ceri the Crafter. That's Ceri the Crafter. Until next time, goodbye now.